The most engaging, impactful, informative, and entertaining talk show ever. Get ready to hear the voices of many local, state, and national artists, musicians, comedians, pastors, athletes, and politicians. It's time for South Florida Live with Jeffrey Brown. The most engaging, impactful, informative, and entertaining talk show ever. Get ready to hear the voices of many local, state, and national artists, musicians, comedians, pastors, athletes, and politicians. It's time for South Florida Live with Jeffrey Brown. The most engaging, impactful, informative, and entertaining talk show ever. Get ready to hear the voices of many local, state, and national artists, musicians, comedians, pastors, athletes, and politicians. It's time for South Florida Live with Jeffrey Brown.
All right. Hey, good evening and welcome to the South Florida Live podcast. Listen, I am your host, Jeffrey Brown. And as we always start out saying, this is the day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. Listen, come on in, everyone. Come on in. Yes, come on in and join us this evening. I hope everyone is doing wonderful. Everybody had a day of peace and blessings. Everyone had a great day today. If you were at work, if you were at home, whatever it is that you were doing on today, I pray and I hope that everybody is doing well and everything was great with you on today. Listen, come on in on tonight. Tonight is Thriving Thursday. You don't want to miss tonight's conversation on tonight. You do not want to miss this conversation on tonight. It's going to be powerful, uplifting on tonight. You don't want to miss. Your friends don't want to miss. Your cousins don't want to miss. Your auntie don't want to miss. Your uncle them don't want to miss. So I need you to do this for me real quick. Go ahead and make sure you tag at least 10 people. Tag them. If you're viewing me by Facebook, go ahead and tag at least 10 people for me, please. All right. If you're viewing me by YouTube, I need you, if it's your first time viewing us by YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. Would you do that for me, please? And once you do that, go ahead and hit notification and click all. That way you get notified every time we go live. If you're viewing us by Instagram, go ahead and say something to us. Just holler at us and in the comment section. Those that are viewing by Facebook, say good evening to me. Let me know that you're there. Let me know that everything is sounding all great fine on your side of town. And those that are on YouTube, do the same, if you will. Thank you. Hey, love me tender, love me slow.
What's going on? Roger. What's up, my people? It's not him. It's old. What's up, everybody? Good. Talk to the people out there. Jeffrey, I can't hear you.
All right.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go.
Okay.
Mr. Dooley, Mr. Dooley, welcome to the South Florida Live podcast. I guess I was muted for the most of the. Hey, listen, y'all come on in. I forgot I had my mute on here. Come on in and join us on tonight for this great, powerful conversation on tonight. I have in person, someone who has went through the journey of a transplant, and we're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to talk about tonight, before and after. But I want to say good evening to him. I want him to introduce himself to our listening audience, our viewers on tonight. Is the one and only Mr. Vernon Dooley. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Brother Brown. Thanks for inviting me out, along with all of your guests out in the audience. I'm here to share my story.
Yes, and I thank you, sir, for doing this and coming on to be a part of this on tonight. Do I see Miss Gail? Yep, I see Miss Gail.
Yes, she's here.
Joining us tonight for this conversation. So let's get into it. We don't have much time because I got another guest coming on. But you know what? Let's get into it. Let me throw this at you. Let's start with this, and then we can go from there. You can just share your journey. And there's some questions I want to ask. I'm gonna throw at you, but let's do this. When did you first realize something was wrong with your health, and what led you to your diagnosis?
Well, back in 2005, I got diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And during the course of my treatment, my chemotherapy, I noticed one night I was driving that I couldn't see. And I pulled over, was able to get home. I went to my oncologist and he tested my blood work. And he said that my blood sugar was at 700. He said I should have been in a diabetic coma. He immediately rushed me to the hospital, to go through treatment. Of course, I was in denial because I said to myself, hell, I beat cancer. What is diabetes going to do? Diabetes is a silent killer. So I was in denial. I didn't do what I needed to do. And that led to me becoming, going all the way to the point of being end-stage kidney failure, end-stage kidney disease.
Okay. Wow. So from that, what was life like for you before the transplant? And I'm talking physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Well, I'm from the old school, and the whole while I was on dialysis, let me just go to that point, get to that point. I had dialysis 5 o'clock in the morning. Every morning I would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I would walk for an hour. Because in dialysis, your water level has to be at a certain level or you're going to be over. So therefore the kidney has a harder work to try to pump that fluid out. So I would do that every morning religiously, man. And I would go to treatment. I had one of the greatest nurses in the world who took care of me, Miss Shirlene. Of course, when I first went there, I didn't want to be there. Why do I have to be here? I don't want to be here. But it was the best place in the world for me to go because, it kind of opened my eyes to the kind of work and care that those nurses were providing there. Can you imagine taking care of 4 to 6 patients and those bells going off, bing, 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 bing on those dialysis machine, and you got to be paying attention and showing love and care to all of those people. And you know how most sick people, they want to take it out on the people who are actually caring for them. And I realized early on that I couldn't do that. So I wanted to be the model patient while I was there. Showed up on time. I did everything they told me that I needed to do, man. And I was blessed within a 9-month period to be able to get a kidney, and that's usually not the case.
Wow. So that was like my next question to you, and you went right into it too. How did dialysis impact your life and your sense of freedom? Because I know I've had some friends that have gone through dialysis, and
Right.
for them, I wish they would have grabbed hold to it like you did, but
Yes.
they didn't. They didn't care for it. They didn't like it. It was
Yes.
miserable for them.
Yes.
Um, it was time that after they were done, they just couldn't do anything after they got home. But you took the negative and made it a positive.
And turn it in. I use that as my barbells. You know,
Yeah,
sometimes we have to use adversity as our barbells to help strengthen and develop us to move forward. You know, nothing is permanent. You know, situations like that isn't permanent. I went to work every day too. After I left dialysis, I went home, took a shower, put my suit
mm,
on, and I went to work every day.
wow, wow.
Yes, yes.
That that that
And I would hear those stories and oh, I can't do anything. I'm weak and I'm tired. And a lot of times it's because we're not doing what they tell us we needed to do in terms of drinking that water, eating foods that's filled with potassium and all of those levels. And they give you those levels every week. And I got the little smiling faces every week, just about, because my goal was to get out of there, not to stay.
right, right, right. Because I had a friend who went through that. They had their first kidney, and they were, like I told Ms. Boyd and some of the others, I didn't find out but by her that kidneys had an expiration date. It was so
Right.
long that so she was due for another one. I'm fussing at her. What do you do? You didn't do it. I told you you should have been doing what you're supposed to do. She was like, oh no. They only last for a certain
Yeah.
amount of time. I said, oh, okay. Because see, she was one that, like you said, was not eating right, was not eating the right
Mhm.
food. They would call me up and asked me to go to Wendy's and get them a cheeseburger. And I was like, you just wasted that phone call because I'm not going to do that for you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm
Right.
glad you brought that up because I she was one. I love her to death. And then I had one other friend at that also they went through it, the dialysis, and it was very tough. I lost. We lost uh, Mr. Dooley. I think he may have lost signal on his end. Hopefully, we can get him back. But she went through it, and they went through it, and it was a different view. It was a different outlet. They were a little more positive, even though they had their ups and their downs. And I just grew into it where I didn't like chemo. I just felt like um, dialysis was the worst thing ever, Miss Dooley. I don't know. Did we lose him? Yep, we lost him. Um, Hopefully we can get him back on. Um, where it was one of the worst thing ever. I see Miss Gail has got on. I don't know if she hear me or whatever, and she want to come on and share a little more where he left off. But yeah, I just felt like there were some things that my friend did not do that they should have done. But I appreciate Mr. Dooley expressing that how he didn't allow dialysis to cause him to have to go into a bad feeling. And a lot of times we can go into it where it's such a drag and we make it the worst thing ever, and it also affects us in our healing process because over our mind start thinking like, oh my God, I got to go to dialysis, the worst thing ever. I don't want to do it, and blah blah blah. And then we get caught up and while we're having that mindset, that mental state, it affects us it affects us when we are going through it. It can affect you with your health and that sense. Okay, we're working on trying to get Mr. Dooley back. Um, we're trying to get him back, but until we can reach him back, we're just gonna have a moment. Miss Gail, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me? I don't want to be on camera, but I am here. How are you?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah,
Okay,
we
great, 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 great. Mr. Dooling he'll come back on. And to your audience, good evening and thank you, Mr. Brown, for reconnecting and taking organ transplantation and kidney health. Mr. Dooley and I are going to be working together with the new transplant organ program. It's no longer with the University of Miami, but we're going to be working together and we're going to focus our attention on kidney health because we want to let people know about kidney disease and how to keep their kidney healthy. And this is a way that we can reduce the need for organs. Because if
I'm
you
back, my
keep your
brother.
kidney healthy, then you won't need a kidney transplant. So
right.
Mr. Doolin and I are meeting and staying in touch with working with the new kidney organ transplantation service, and they're on board with this. We hope to do in the African American community somewhere on 6th Street or go to the African American Library,
Right.
but to make it a place where we can invite people to come in and talk about and share with them how to keep your kidney healthy. The two things that affect your kidney, well, one of the major two things, diabetes and hypertension.
Right.
Genetics is always is also a reason, but the primary thing is the hypertension and diabetes. So look forward to for us to come back to
Yeah.
you with a physician and with us to talk about kidney health and how we're going to kick off our support groups in the 311 area. Whoever want to come, they'll be welcome to do it. So thanks for continuing your initiative to support this.
Oh no, Miss Boy, I told you this platform is for you and the organization. Whenever they want to, they have the I'm open to it because I told you since last year we want to keep the conversation going. We don't want to kill it. We don't want to die. I know we had a few segments last year, but this year we want to continue it until years to go, until people start grabbing hold to it and actually hearing what we're saying, and we want to make a difference. I like I told Mr. McKinley the other last time he was on, my focus is to try and change the numbers of some of those numbers of kidney donors, people that's on the list for so long, and some way we can just change the narrative to make things better when it comes to organ donor.
And that's our initiative as well. And like I said, we're going to focus on education and keeping people healthy and
Right,
not needing a transplant or any type of transplant, be it heart, kidney, lung, liver, whatever. We want to keep people healthy.
right, right, right. All right, I think my friend Mr. Dooley, he's back. So we're gonna
Okay,
get
I'm
him.
going to go off and thanks again.
All right, just we might need you again now, so don't you go.
Mr. Dillon can handle it. Thank you. I'll be on though.
All right.
I'm
All
back,
right,
my
brother,
brother.
you're back. You're back. I know those signals go in and out. Yeah, I understand how that go. So let's go to this. What were some of the hardest moments you faced while waiting for that kidney? I know you.
I'm gonna say I didn't have any hard moments.
Wow.
I didn't have any. I had accepted the fact that I was in the position that I was in, and in due time, I would be delivered. I had faith, that
Mm.
God was going to see me through this. So no matter what I thought I was going through, I did not allow myself to get on a pity pot. That pity pot is a very dangerous place to
Right.
be. I stayed optimistic. I had a great wife and family support group. The nurses and the doctors, they loved me and they really cared for me. So, I come from the principle of living one day at a time. I try to stay in the moment, mindfulness. And the only currency that I have and you have is right now. I'm talking with you right now. This is the
Yes.
currency now. So I learned to live in the moment.
Yes, sir. I mean that's
You're
great.
muted.
I heard. Let me mute myself. No, I think I heard Miss Bowie say the
Can't
same
hear you.
thing. I should be.
Mm-mm. He's on, but he.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember Miss Bowie saying the same thing that because of her strong faith, and I hear it in you too, your strong faith and your strong and the great family support that you had,
Mhm.
it was like that got you through. Um, but sometimes there are those that's out there that don't have it, don't have
Right.
that strong family support. Um, if there was something that you can share with them if they didn't have it, what would be something that would encourage them to just maintain the whole strong and not give up and lose hope?
Well, you have what I call the extended family. You know who the extended family would be? Those nurses, those doctors, your friends, people who you know of, from that particular respect. I mean, that's what you learn. That's what I learned to lean on. When my family isn't there, they're not in a position to help me. There's always somebody else to reach out to.
So and that is so important going through the journey, that you do have a strong support staff,
Support
and you
system, right?
maintain, yeah, you maintain that strong faith, belief that God will get you through. He's going to maintain, he's going to sustain you. And because he said, everybody, we quote it, but a lot of times we quote it and really don't mean it and understand it, that when he said he'll never leave us or forsake us, he's always
Perspective.
with us through the
Right.
storm, through the rain, through the ups and the downs. And that's what that
Right.
means. Not just our financial situations, but our health situations as well.
Yeah.
So we got to be faithful. We got to stay strong to that. Now,
And
let's just, you want to say something?
I want to say also, I have a group of brothers that we chat and meet every week, and they were really behind me, supporting me and pushing me through, So I had that as well,
That's great. Yeah. Now let's talk about this part. This stage. Um, how did you feel, and what was the emotions of when you got the call that your name was on the list? And and can you describe that moment that you got the call, and
Yes.
you
Let
know
me,
that your
and I
name was
want to be truthful with you. I
yes,
got
sir.
that call on a Thursday, May 9th, around 4 o'clock. You'll never forget that. And the lady said, you need to come down to Miami within an hour. And you know what I asked that lady? Can I wait until tomorrow?
Mm,
I got scared.
no, no.
Yes, I did.
Now, what
And she said, no. She said, no, Mr. Dillon, you need to come down. Now, I said this. I said, can I wait till tomorrow? I need to speak with my wife first. That's what I said.
Oh
But it had
wow.
nothing to do with my wife. I was scared.
You were scared.
I was afraid. I don't know why.
Wow.
Uh,
Was it, I don't know, was it the fear was that, is this really happening, or now I'm making this move, or uh we're gonna do this, am I gonna make it through it, or is it gonna work?
I don't know. I guess I was just shocked. I was
Yeah.
going to be making a transition from dialysis to that. I had got comfortable with it, I guess, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And when they pounced it on me like that, I was just kind of scared, I guess, fearful. And I
So
don't
now,
know.
yeah. So now we're at the point you got the call.
Right.
You got the phone call. You like told them, can I come tomorrow? But of course they were like, no, Mr.
No,
Dooley, you need to
you got to
come now.
come now.
You need to
Yes.
come right now.
Right.
So now you're at that stage, you're headed there, you're there. What was your emotions then? You already had emotion when you got the phone call that you like, I
Yes.
don't know if I'm good with this. I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm ready.
But
But
but but
what was
once I got on the road, I felt better. I became excited about it. And when you go down to the Miami Transplant Center, you don't go through the regular process. You go through the concierge. It's a whole setup that they got set up for you there, man.
okay?
They made me comfortable. They made me feel special. They said, "Oh, you don't have to get in that line. Just come go with us, and we're gonna take care of you, man." And I had my wife there, my daughter there, as support as well, man. So it was smooth sailing once I got on the road and
Yeah.
realized that this was happening.
So now what was that emotion now that you've got there and this surgery is actually about to happen now. It
Yes,
is actually about to, it's that day. It's going
yes,
to happen. What was
yes.
your emotion once they were prepping you, they were getting you ready, and what was the mindset? Where were you at that point?
But at that point, it was this is finally happening. I'm very fortunate, to be in this position, man. It happened about 12 o'clock, 12:01 or 12:02 on May 10th that night. I came down the 9th, but that night they actually did the surgery. So I was
Wow.
excited.
Yeah, you had to be. This is
Yes,
finally happening. I've been there because you said you have been waiting for how long?
9 months, only 9 months. That's a
And
short
that's
period of
not
time.
long.
Now
Yeah,
Gail
that's a
got the
short.
record. Gail only waited a month, I
Yeah,
believe.
right. She
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 got the
only was
the Guinness Book of World Records.
right, and she's somewhere out of town enjoying herself, and she get her phone call. So yeah, I think that was it. A month time. It was really short, and that was a
Yeah.
blessing among itself.
Oh
Because I've known
yes.
people have been on there for a number of about a year or so. Um, so that was great. So listen, all right. So you had the surgery, the transplant, everything was done. It was, I guess, it was successful. Um, now, now, what was the first thing once everything was over and maybe you finally got home? What was the
hmm
first thing that you noticed after the transplant that felt different?
Let me tell you what I had a desire to do was to walk.
Mm,
And when I got home after the transplant, I was able to walk from my front door to my fence. The next day, I went from the fence to the stop sign, and then the rest is history. I'm up to about 30 minutes to 45-minute walk. That's all I want to do. I just want to walk.
yeah.
I didn't feel anything different. Some of the guys say, "Well, Vern, uh, you're writing a little different now. Seem to be a little bit more profound in your writing. You sure that person's kidney that you got didn't transplant that over to you?" One of the guys told me that. So he said some people can play instruments better now, different things. I don't know,
Yeah.
but that's what I was told.
Okay. So well, I got a couple more questions I want to ask, and then we're gonna end this segment.
Okay.
Um, that was one that you just mentioned about your donor. Is there a
Right.
connection? Is there relationship? Have you contacted them? Had a conversation with?
No, I haven't, but I found out some information. My donor was 61 years old. She was a female, and she died from some kind of respiratory failure.
Mm,
I do know that much, but I don't
okay.
know who it is exactly.
Okay. All right. Because I know there's been some story that some people have researched and found the donor,
Hmm
found out who the donor was, if it
Was
was
right.
live, if it was a live donor, or They
Yes,
don't.
he was deceased. Right.
Right. Okay. So you really didn't know. So if someone is currently watching us tonight that's going through and they're waiting on one, what is something that you would express to them and share with them to help them get them through that journey?
Number one is to be patient, to be optimistic, and most of all, to be faithful that you are going to be delivered from whatever your situation is into better hands with a new kidney. But you gotta be faithful. You gotta be patient with the medical staff and the people who are assisting you. Uh, that's what I would recommend. Stay true to whatever the doctor is prescribing you to do. Your diet, your exercise, and your mental state of mind. Just stay
Right.
true and live in the moment. Accept where you're at and move forward.
Wow. Okay. Hey, listen. Let's give it up. Let's give it for Mr. Vernon Dooley. Hey, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
my brother.
Last because there's many more questions that I know, but I know I have another guest that's coming on.
Okay.
There's a lot of other questions that I want to ask you during that journey. That was just some that I want to throw out to get us through, for folks to see the journey that you took and how you took it. And what I like about it, Mr. Dooley, was that your whole mindset until maybe the phone call was just set positive and like I'm in this, I'm in it, I know I'm in it, but I'm gonna make the best of it. I'm gonna walk through this. Everything is not gonna be negative, everything is gonna be upbeat and positive. And
Right.
that part is what I appreciate, and that part that I hope those that might be watching, that may be paying attention, that's viewing us tonight, that might be waiting, or someone that knows someone that's waiting, just remind them just to
Right.
stay in the positive.
Right.
Make every negative turn it into a positive,
Right.
and that push you through it even quicker or even better, because sometimes it can be a long journey.
Right.
And some people I know have wanted to throw in the towel and just give up, but you can't give up
No.
because it is coming soon. That's why I'm partnering with Ms. Bowie and this organization, man, where I can keep the conversation going and educate the people. Like Ms. Bowie said, not just about getting a kidney, but taking care of our kidneys, taking care of our kidneys. That way we won't be in that place.
Right. Could I say something?
Yes, sir.
I just personally want to thank you for allowing me to come on the show to share my story. I especially want to thank Ms. Bowie for introducing me to you so that I could tell my story. She's a very resourceful lady,
Yes, sir.
and we're going to do some amazing things in our community as it relates to kidney health.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and I'm gonna be right there with y'all doing it. So I appreciate you, Mr. Dooley, coming on and just being transparent and sharing your journey, sir. I really do. So until we meet again, until you back on here again, we'll be talking. We will be communicating, and
Okay.
you will be back on soon to share some more with us.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Good night. Blessings to you, man. We'll be talking. All right, my friends. All right. It is, man. Listen, that was informative. That was good. I appreciated that right there. Mr. Doug Dooley is amazing, man. He's an amazing man.
Glitch in the matrix.
He's an
How
amazing
can that
man.
be? Is there something unreal in what you see?
And I
On the
thank him
count
for
of three,
sharing
open
his
your
journey.
eyes, that which is dead. You
Like I
made
said,
it
I'm
alive, you buried the
speaking
truth with
because
traditions of
I've
men.
been with
You
some
trap your
people
own spirit.
have had
You can be
they
free.
went through dialysis, and it was not pleasant for them. It didn't make it pleasant. I wish I'd have knew Mr. Dooley. during that time, I would have shared that with them of how they needed to make it turn that negative into a positive. And I tried to encourage them, try to uplift them, and they needed it. Yeah. All right. Hey, listen, once again, you locked into the South Florida Live podcast. I don't know where you're doing from, how you're doing it, how you're watching it. If you're watching it by Facebook, if you're joining us by Facebook, I need you to at least tag at least 10 people, let them know that you're on, and we'll have a conversation, guys. Those that are viewing by YouTube, hey, let me know that you're there. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know that you're there. If it's your first time viewing us by YouTube, please go ahead and subscribe to us. We're trying to get our subscribe numbers up. If you can do that for me, please. Thank you so much, so much, so much. Hey, listen, my next guest is coming. Next segment is coming. We know Monday we had a moment where we talked about domestic violence because we're still dealing with that. We're still trying to keep the conversation going about that as well, and keeping it in the spotlight because it is so much happening. I was reading the other day where just six black women that were killed during the first half of April. First half of April, we had 6 that was killed either by a husband, and we had 5 killed by a husband or a partner, and 1 that was killed by her son. And for some reason, this thing was rapid. I was talking to someone that it's been happening since 2 months now. Just over and over. You've been hearing on the news, husband killed or someone, husband and wife is out on a boat, and now she can't be found. She fell and she can't be found. And I'm like, huh? A little boat that fell and you can't find them? Come on now. That didn't sound too right. So I reached out to my sister. She's amazing when it comes to grief, and I know a lot of people that are going through it, maybe going through it. We had just had ice cream from ice cream at that wife of the Lieutenant Governor in Virginia. So families are hurting. Families are grieving. We just had the sad 8. I'm calling it the sad 8 in Shreveport. So families are hurting, and I want answers for those families. I want to talk to those families. I want some of the spirits out there, those that might be watching us from other states. I wanted to find help for you. And we're going to have a conversation tonight also to share, to try and help us get through it. And so tonight, y'all, I have my friend, my sister with me tonight, one and only, Shirley Brown. Hey, good evening, my sister. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you. You are sounding marvelous. How are you this evening? How are you this evening? Can you hear me? Chaplain Brown? Chaplain Brown. Chaplain Brown. 1, 2, 3. Check your speaker.
I'm not hearing.
That's why you lost signal. While we try and get her back, yeah, like I was saying, I'm really trying to have the conversation of this domestic violence. A lot of it is going on that we need to deal with. There she goes. She's back.
So I couldn't hear you before.
So you went out, came back in. All right.
Yes.
I know it. All right, we got you now.
Okay.
How you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
I was listening to the gentleman talk about his transplant. That was really great.
Yes.
You know, that's a gift from the Lord. I tell people. People don't believe in organ donation, but
Mhm.
you know, people, you know, that God want to give them longevity, promise them longevity. This is a gift.
Right.
Yeah.
It is, and that's why I Miss Boyd, I met her probably about 2 years ago, and she shared a testimony at a little breakfast, graduation breakfast that we were both attending, and just locked me in. And from that day forward, we've been connected, and I've been talking with her, and we've been engaging with this other organization. And my push is now just to educate us, our community, our culture about organ donor, being an organ donor, because we are lax. There's not that many of us, and most of
No.
the time we make up.
Well, there's a lot of myth and suspicion behind that. So
Right, and
we
that
gotta
was
educate people about that.
right, and that's what we did last year. We had a segment, we had an episode where we killed a lot of the myth of you know, people think, oh, when you go to hospital, people see that you are organ donor, they don't care for you as well, and you know, that type of stuff. So we really touched on that. I had a young man, he was on with me on last week, and he talked and shared about it, that a lot of the myth that needs to be killed, because we need, you know, we have it's a small percentage of us in you know, that make up the culture, and
Right.
but it's a large percentage of us that's on the waiting list.
Yeah, and they have to keep it kind of you know, private, and you know, they don't disclose who the donor is, because a lot of us have this implicit bias. I was just watching the movie last night of a woman, a young girl that donated her kidney to someone, and this lady ended up was a rich lady. She ended up being this lady's maid. And the son ended up falling in love with the lady, and she told the mother, "You don't like the girl because she felt like, you know, a maid. She's from a lower class. You know, you don't marry people from lower classes. You know, this African culture." And he told her, "This is the girl that gave you the kidney," and she said, "Oh my God!" You know what she said? She says, "I appreciate her giving me the kidney, but I wish it wasn't from her."
I
Could
think
you imagine? And she was reproaching the girl for giving her kidney.
and
So
she
I
was
think this is
serious.
one of the reasons. And think about people with discrimination, racism. If they know who the donor is, a lot of time, you know, they're crazy enough to reject it.
But it's a lot. It was that going on. We're gonna move on to
Yeah.
but
So that's a talk for another day.
yeah, but I'm just saying she brought that to light. I actually have an article on that she gave me that's saying about the bias of
Yeah.
of races
Yes.
with when it comes to the kidney donor. Hey, listen, thank you for doing this for me. You know, it's been a lot going on with domestic violence, a lot of it
Oh
going
my
on.
goodness.
But my thing is, like I just said, I really want to focus on those who are experiencing the loss, some of the family members that have been there, and the loss of, you know what I'm saying? What do they do? Where do they go? How do they understand? So that's something where we want to start, where understanding the grief. Um, for those who have never experienced the kind of loss, how is grieving someone lost to domestic violence different from other types of grief?
Well, of course, that type of loss, homicide is homicide, or whether it's suicide, they call it murder, suicide. Some of them have different names, but basically, it's murder. And so it's unexpected, it's sudden. And of course, the grief is different because you have common grief, you got complicated grief. That falls under the category of complicated grief. It's complicated because the way the people died, the type of loss is it was sudden and unexpected. Common grief symptoms are, somebody grow older, like I had a 95-year-old yesterday, and we did the last ride, and the family were all there and they kissed him goodbye. They expected him to die. He was ailing for a while. That's common grief. They're gonna grieve him, but it's common grief systems. He lived a long life. And you have common grief, of course, because you're gonna miss them. The person leaves a void in their lives. But with homicide bereavement, you're looking at people. Oh my goodness, your life was upended suddenly. It's a life-changing event. It's a life-changing event. Some people call it imposed change. It's imposed change upon your daily routine, something you never expected. It blindsided you. It came out of nowhere. And so that's the difference between common and complicated grief. And then the people are in shock for a long time because of the type of loss. How, why would their loved one die in this fashion? And then, of course, there's disbelief, not one to accept that the person is really gone, and again that they died by murder, or they were brutally killed, or they died in a car accident, that sort of thing. So it's hard to accept the reality the person is gone, and also the shock that they died the way they died. And those two stay with the family for a long time. Of course, anger because it was senseless, it was a heinous death, it was brutal, especially somebody takes somebody's life. With related to the young people, their lives were cut off. Those families had hopes and dreams for those kids to grow up and become somebody.
Yeah, so I'm and that I like that, because that was one of the questions I was asking about the emotions people may not expect to feel, but they do. Those
Oh
are
yeah.
some of them that you're saying. Now, is it possible that guilt is something that many people struggle with when feeling like they should have seen something or done more? So, how do you help people process that?
So you have that type of guilt. Say if there was a history of violence in this family, ongoing disputes, that was escalating, and people have witnessed it, or the neighbors witness it, but of course, they're minding their business. Now they're looking back and saying, I should have done something, if I had stepped, if I'd called the cops, or if I'd walked over there, all the what ifs. So you have that kind of guilt. But then you have the survivor's guilt, the people that go on living, that survived the event, that survived that heinous crime, like those two mothers, right? The children that are left behind. In this case, we have the children there, but think about the gentleman that took the double murder there in Virginia. The lieutenant governor and his wife left the children behind. The one I told you about in New Jersey, all those children are left behind. And so you have them feeling, and they witnessed the murder, so they have what they call survivor's guilt. Why didn't I die? Why didn't my loved one die and I didn't die? There's remorse. You have that a lot. Survivor's guilt come out of the war. Why did my buddy, that I was in a war with, that had my back, why did he die? I didn't die. Why did my platoon die? Only a couple of us survived. So you call it survivor's guilt. And they live with that with a long time, and that kind of go along with PTSD, post-traumatic stress, because you witness a trauma, you saw so many people blown to pieces, saw so many people die, but you survived. And so the person live with that guilt. It's almost like a remorse, that they survived and others didn't. So you have two types of guilt going on there.
Because
People that feel they could have prevented it,
Right. The
and didn't
prevention.
step in and do something. They
Yeah.
knew they had a history of domestic violence or something was going on in the family. Or
Why
it could
didn't?
have been, the person came and said something to them and they didn't try to help.
Yeah, because sometimes that's such a touchy situation, and
Yes,
you see it and you like, come on, I'm getting you out of this. And sometimes that individual don't want to go,
yes. Or
don't
you
want.
have those professionals, like what I said, we were seeing that pastor that was that her husband killed on Easter Sunday after she preached and went home. People, I would want to say, on the surface, I've seen what's going on. Those people don't really disclose what is going on in their personal life, in their private life. So a lot of them, I mentioned their public successes, but in their private life, a lot of stuff are going on. Imbalances in marriage. Maybe there was unemployment. Maybe somebody filed for divorce. Somebody said
Mm,
the other day, when you file for divorce, you better run. Telling the women they need to run after they
mm,
file for divorce. You don't know
move
what's
to
coming
another,
next,
move to
you
another state.
know.
Yeah.
So, and if that person has any kind of borderline personality, things could escalate.
So with okay, so is there? I mean, I know it's this is such a sensitive situation,
It
sensitive
is.
um of grieving, because like I asked, it has to be different. It's a different grieving, and you explained it because of some of the emotions that you go through and the guilt that sometimes you may feel afterwards. um
And the relationship you have with the person, especially if it's immediate family. Say, well, did you have a conflict with a person, you never got to resolve it, so you'll have guilt that you never really resolved that issue with them, you never asked for forgiveness or forgave them, that kind of thing be going on. There's always conflict in family. It could have been some kind of struggle you had with that person, or you were distant from that person
it's
because you really didn't like them because of their personality. All kinds of stuff come up.
Yeah, it's. I know a lot of times. I know there's. I mean, I know there's therapy and for
Oh, sure.
grief, but is it? Why is it not? I don't know. Is it often offered to those at the time? If that automatic, okay. For instance, like those kids from Virginia, the children who was there when it happened. Do who offers them therapy? Who
Well, if they're
suggests?
school age, you have the guidance counselors in the school that are aware they're going through grief, traumatic grief.
Right.
And then, of course, Office of Victims Crime normally will step in because it's a homicide. And that's a service that they offer to homicide bereaved families, that they could get that service through OVC. And of course, they can sign up the children to get, grief counseling because they're really going to need it, especially
Okay.
if they're
So
traumatized.
so walk me through it. Walk me through it, Chaplain Brown, because we want to view this as a chaplain. You get that call that there's
Right.
been domestic violence, there's been a homicide, and it's due
Hmm.
to domestic violence. And
Right.
there are two children, two children
Hmm.
that was there when it happened. You so you have to go to the scene. So once you go to the scene, now what's the process that you go through, and the process that everything, what's the process?
So first of all, I wouldn't get to the scene, and I wouldn't be near the church. Right away, they take them into what they call children protective services, children protective custody, until the investigation is over. They keep those children for a long time. Sometimes they put them in foster care. They don't care who steps up because they want to investigate and see what's going on. Were the children living with domestic violence for a while? What were they exposed to? It's a long investigation. So sometimes you don't get close to the kids, but you hope that the system is going to provide somebody to help them. And usually they do, because social workers are involved and case managers involved, and most of them will insist and persist that the children see a counselor right away,
Yeah. Okay.
because
Um.
they're out of their element. There's no family support. A lot of them, they're scared already. They witness a crime, and then you have them in children protective custody. So it takes a while for you to get to the kids. But of course, if I ever have to see a kid, yes, I start working with them based on their age level. You have to look at their age level, how they process, what's their mindset, what are their beliefs about death, you know? And all these things. So you really have to work with them based on their age level, how they understand death, how they process it, and everything. And it's a long process, like you said.
Right.
But looking at their, you have to deal with their emotional stage. That's number one, and where they are
Let's,
in their childhood development.
right. Let's talk about healing and support. Healing and support. And this
Oh
will
my
close.
goodness. That
Yeah.
road to recovery is a very long one, sir. You mean healing from domestic violence or just from murder,
No.
homicide?
From
No, it's a long road to
let's
recovery.
deal with
And
you know, let's deal with the domestic violence side. Like, what does healthy grieving look like after a traumatic loss like that?
the healthy grieving don't come up for a while.
Mm,
Because a lot of the time the person needs pills to get up in the morning, pills to go to bed at night.
mm,
If they're not taking pills, they're drinking. They want to numb that pain. They're not ready to receive emotional support. A lot of time they self isolate, they withdraw from society because they feel unsafe. They don't trust relationships right away, especially if there was an abusive relationship that turned to murder. So it's hard for them to trust people. So all these things have to kind of get them to come back into balance before you can get them even into the counseling, professional counseling chair. Okay, you have to work with them. That's where you have that emotional support. That's where we want the churches and the community to step in and not so much train, but understand how to be with people like that and in a non-judgmental fashion. How can you offer compassionate listening? Can you just listen to them while they talk and they grieve and they cry and they snot, all that stuff? Can you just listen without giving advice or being judgmental? So, giving that compassionate support is very significant. Number two, practicing empathy, understanding. If you were in their shoes, how would you like to be treated? That empathy is very, very, and giving the people that reassurance that you're there for them, no matter what. You just encourage them and be there for them for a while, as much as you can.
right. So what are some particular some practical steps that people can take to begin healing emotionally and mentally?
Well, that's where we have the support groups. And so, I'm big on support groups. I run grief support group myself, where people can start unburdening, people can start processing and, kind of teasing out their feelings. Because a lot of time what's going on internally, you're not seeing it externally. That's where there's a gap there. And people oftentimes will not tell you what that gap is there. They really need help, but they masking their pain, they masking their grief. You go to church, they dress up and they tell you they're fine, but they're struggling on the inside. And so that's where, in a group where they feel they're not alone, people have similar grief and going through similar symptoms, they more readily open up. So I'm big on support groups. But for homicide, you need their own support groups. That's a specific support group that you need. Homicide bereavement. A general
Mm,
support group may not help them because of course they're dealing with just common grief symptoms, or that they having problems with, or they had a problem with the relationship with the victim or their spouse, or the role of the spouse is no longer there and they're struggling. They have secondary, tertiary losses. Those are more common grief reactions. Homicide bereavement, you really need to have your own group. I would recommend that they have their own group because of the horrific and heinousness of the crime.
So how? I mean, okay. This is my last question. We're gonna probably end with this. You just said it's very important to have community, church, family support groups in the healing process. How do we? How can we put those sessions or in the area where it's very needed, like for instance in the church? Is that possible to create a
Yeah.
support group that's in the church that's going to deal with
Yes. Yes, and and
dealing
and somebody that's gonna been down that road. I always say somebody that been down that road, just like you talked to that gentleman that had a transplant. You don't want to talk to somebody never had a transplant. So you want
right.
somebody that was affected, had that experience in the past. They're the ones gonna give leadership to a group like that and do it very well. They're gonna be sensitive. They're gonna be good listeners because they know what they went through in the past, and they're now still on the road to recovery, but they're a little bit further down the road, so they can reach back and help their fellow man. You know what I'm saying? But of course, come in and do the training and how to be good active listeners and how to be sensitive, of course, offer compassion, support, all those things. Come in and do the training and make sure that group continues. It has to be a viable ministry, which means it has to be consistent. Whoever is running it has to be committed, and they have to be competent in what they're doing, because really that it's a draining ministry. But if you want to give energy, you feel you have that calling to do that, please, we're willing to come out and do the training, because I just did a training for a group of 12 churches about 2 months ago.
And I was just going to ask you, where do we begin? Where do we start? Who do we reach out to? Who do
Well,
we?
is getting volunteers in the church that, of course, making the appeal from the pulpit that is interested in starting such ministry. I think at Newburgh you have Dr. Sister Dames. I know she's still there, Elder Dames. She works with me. She's one of my co-hosts on my facilitator, bereavement facilitator training. Getting them to round up some people that are very interested in, just recruiting volunteers. So you start recruiting volunteers, deciding when you want that ministry to start, and so on and so forth. And you go from there. Because every day people are dying of this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Like heart attacks. That's complicated too. I just had a family on their way to a cruise. The husband died at the port. The port of Miami, boarding the cruise. He had a massive heart attack. But they were going on the cruise to do a ritual when they got to a specific destination of a son that died just 10 weeks ago. Same thing. Massive heart attack he died of. They were taking his ashes to the destination on the cruise. I don't want to mention it. On the cruise where they were going to spread his ashes there. Right? And here they have the father now dies. So you have two deaths 10 weeks apart. That's what you call what we call complicated grief as well, because it was sudden and unexpected. And it's also called stacked grief. It's stacked because they happen in a short space of time, back to back. So that person isn't even ready to grieve for her, or still grieving her son, now is to grieve for her husband. And how do you deal with it? They both die the same way.
Wow.
That's also complicated grief.
Now, I'm gonna ask you this, and then we'll close it. When it comes to family support, I mean, is that possible where if a family want to create their own support group, say among their immediate family, Is that something that's doable, that can be done? That
Not
we
for homicide group, because those families are trying to navigate their own feelings, their pain, their grief. They cannot even support one another.
Mm.
They're not there for one another. Emotionally, they're not available. They trying to process on just struggling with their own feelings. So the rest of the family, they cannot support them. So you really need a facilitator, somebody that's neutral, outside the grief, to help them to process it and help them to deal with their feelings and their emotions and so on and so forth. But they're not going to be able to run that group by themselves. No.
No. I wasn't saying them run it by themselves, but have someone come in.
Oh yes, sure, absolutely. If they're willing to do that, oh yes, that's
No.
great.
I'm saying the immediate family, they all come together,
Right.
bring somebody in to
And right.
facilitate it. Right.
First, I will do what we call a critical incident debriefing with them, right? Shortly after the incident or the murder or the homicide, so they can all come together and share their feeling, what they thought, what they saw, what they feel, what were they a witness, down the road, how did they relate to the person, what that person meant to them, that sort of thing. And then you have them maybe later on down the road, when their grief isn't so raw, we call it, have start a support group for them, because you have to realize they dealing. First they were a private family, now everything is public. That's one of the hard things they're dealing with. Your life is in the media. You have detectives coming in asking questions. The investigation is going on. You got to deal with the state attorney's office. You got to deal with the office of victims of crimes. You have all this stuff going on. You have to make funeral arrangements. So they're not able to do that right away, because they have to do all this. You have the court case probably coming up. Sometimes that take 2 years, and sometimes it end up being a cold case. That makes the grief worse, because they never know who it is, who to hold accountable, who is responsible for the death. And so a lot of times, that's when they really need that support. And they may decide, it's time for us to do something.
All right. Once again, y'all, you heard it from Reverend Chaplain Brown, Shirley Brown. Hey, once again, you have enlightened us, you have illuminated us, you have made us more aware of what we should do and how we can do it and get better at
Yes. It's hard. It's hard.
yeah.
But we have to pray for all those families. I just saw on Facebook today they're getting ready to bury the lady on set, the pastor in Atlanta. Their husband killed her. And all of those, the children. That's heartbreaking. I don't know how the mother and the other lady's gonna survive the deaths of those children. That's a
That,
big,
and
huge void
that's
there.
what I'm saying about those. I mean, like those two women, they definitely gonna need therapy and support and the whole nine to get them
They're
through
gonna be a mess for a long time. As a matter of fact, the little young boy, I think they should put him on suicide watch. He's gonna have survivor's guilt, definitely.
13-year-old.
Yes, that jumped off the roof. They're gonna have to watch him and the mother for a while. Yeah,
See that
because
that
that
part,
survivor's guilt is a psychological thing and it's mental.
yeah. That's
And
why
you keep.
that's
Mhm.
why I want to have this conversation, because to try and hopefully someone is hearing it and involved in it and in a situation, and we can solve it before it happened,
Right.
intervene before it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, there were some things that somebody not, like you say, now I'm having this guilt because I know I saw it, I felt it, I knew, but I didn't do anything, I didn't act like I should have,
Right.
even though they probably did and they didn't wanted to go along with it, but it was
Mm-hmm.
something that you feel like you should have done differently, uh,
Yes.
that would have made that the outcome better, not where we are now.
Even
So
the mother, carrying the burden, I don't know if she was able to tell somebody she's living with domestic violence, or she let it go too much at the expense of her children. You don't know what was going
right,
on in that family. and she's gonna feel it the worst, I think.
Wow. So I hope,
Yes.
I really hope and pray. I'm praying for all the people.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I was saying earlier, man, just the first half of April, there were 6 African American women
Yes.
who were killed, either by their husband or a partner, and one was killed by her son. And that part, the son thing, that means somewhere you got this hate for women so much, or whatever it
Yes.
was, that done got into your spirit. And I can't always say that it's mental health, but sometimes it's just that spirit, and we got to fight this spirit, man.
Well, for the church, it's a cry for help.
Yeah.
To show the brokenness in family, elder, that brokenness, we gotta work on that in our families, and the fragility of the relationships in those families, that people just think on the surface everything is okay. It's not okay.
So see, you just put that pin right there in it. So now you got to come back, and we got that conversation.
Yes, certainly it's a cry for help, and then it's increasing. We gotta stand up and do something about it. We really gotta have to get into family life ministry,
Yeah, right. Hey, listen, y'all, you've been locked into the South Florida Live podcast with my friend, my sister, the one and only Chaplain Shirley Brown. I appreciate you, my sister, for coming.
Oh my goodness, I've known you so long, Jeff, 20-something years.
It's been a while.
Yeah, from new birth.
Every time.
And I'm glad how God is growing your ministry, and you're addressing some of these, hardcore issues that people don't want to address, even the church don't want to address.
Yes,
and so, I'm glad. And I would like to give a shout out to people if they want to come to our Father's House of Prayer. On tomorrow, we have in grief conference. We annually for mothers and daughters. It's always close to Mother's Day for mothers that lost their sons, daughters who lost their moms, whatever. If you've had a loss, it's tomorrow night at 7 p.m. our Father's House of Prayer, and it's on 167th Street. It's 3974 167th Street in Miami Gardens.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
So if you're in that area, guys, go and support it. Once again, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Elder.
Again, we'll be talking soon, and hopefully you'll be able to, your schedule allow you to come back and share.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Thank you. Good night.
God bless you.
Lessons. Hey, y'all, listen, you've been locked into the South Florida Live podcast. I am your host, Jeffrey Brown, and I want to thank Mr. Vernon Dooley for coming on and giving us his story, his journey of him receiving his kidney transplant, and before and after story. Once again, Chaplain Brown, thank you so much for coming along and sharing with us about the grieving of loss after such traumatic loss of domestic violence that so many are dealing with right now. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for being until hopefully we're gonna have them back. We're gonna have them back and keep this conversation going. Once again, everyone that's tuned in, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being locked in. Thank you so much. Don't miss us on next Monday. Next Monday for a meditation. Not meditation. Yes, Meditation Monday. Meditation Monday next week, and also Thriving Thursday on next week. All right. Once again, thank you for being a part. Thank you for those that have sponsored this podcast and being a sponsor, being a partner. Appreciate you so much. Once again, it's been a pleasure. As I always say, I'll pray for you. Y'all keep praying for me. I'm feeling a little better tonight, and we'll watch God change things. All right. God bless you.
Email your idea for show topics to the South Florida Live Show at gmail.com. Thank you for tuning in to South Florida Live with your host, Jeffrey Brown.